Item 1, call to order.
Miller,
Here.
Birkenbaugh,
Here.
and Wittrock.
Here.
Alright. Item 2, recognition of guests.
I don't think they have anything.
Hmm?
I don't have anything else. But he's gonna discuss stuff down here next.
Okay. Item 3, consent agenda. 3A, discuss, consider, and take action on the minutes of the regular meeting held October 9th, 2024, and agenda for November 13th, 2024.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes and the agenda.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Birkenbaugh,
Yes.
Wittrock.
Yes.
Alright. Item 4, correspondence and reports.
No, I don't think everybody's got their classes, so I think we're good on that.
Okay. Alright, item 5, discussion. Tommy Humphreys, District Attorney, discussed Kingfisher Public Schools Supreme Court decision.
I should have looked at the agenda. I didn't have time.
But I also have it down here if we need to take action or anything. I just thought,
No, you all, I'm happy to answer any questions. I think you all know that the Supreme Court didn't assume jurisdiction, so they didn't look at the issue that the school raised. We've had some questions from the auditor's office, but I think he was able to make corrections and get everything filed, so as far as I know, everything's moving forward. I haven't been notified of any other action by the school, so I'll let you know if I hear something.
and the protest hearing date is supposed to end on the 15th, which that would be Friday. Then I assume if everything goes all right, and we don't hear anything from the schools, we can proceed on getting the tax statements out.
So I just have a question, because at the school board meeting, the superintendent, Mr. Evans, mentioned that they still had an active case, and he acted like the Supreme Court was gonna hand down the petition to whoever it should have gone to. And my thought was their attorney would have to refile it in the right jurisdiction. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or are they acted like we are waiting to see how to proceed? And,
I can't really answer for them.
Okay.
Something would have to be filed in another court.
okay.
Okay, so the process that we're following now is the estimate of needs have been filed with the auditor and inspector. And there's a 15-day time in which a taxpayer can protest. We're on day 13.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So we don't know if there's any protest to be filed or not. As of this date and this hour, there has not been.
Correct.
I would think that if there's something been filed, Nancy would have already let me know.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I said, I think if anybody had protested anything, I think Nancy Grantham with the auditor's office would have already let me know. But I have not heard, as of today, I have not heard
Right.
anything from her.
Okay,
And I'll probably see her today at the ACO meeting, so I'll probably talk to her a little bit about it. Just
Okay.
ask her, make sure.
you
She's usually
mentioned,
there.
you mentioned that you spoke with an auditor. Are you talking about an auditor of the school board, or are you talking with the state?
The state auditor.
Auditor and inspector.
Nancy Grantham is who handles all the county budget, school budget filings for the auditor's office.
Okay. Now, when will they have the whole detailed budget prepared?
The Kingfisher schools,
Yes,
I'd say it's already done.
it's done.
No, Jim, are you talking budget or audit?
Pardon me?
You talking budget or audit?
I'm talking about budget,
Okay.
No,
because
What we
They,
presented to the auditor's office is what y'all signed off on with the.
so the estimate of needs and the budget are at the auditor's office.
Yes,
And they mentioned in the local paper that that this was an unreasonable task to build a budget based upon the numbers that, I don't have them right here in front of me, the numbers that we approved.
correct.
So their school board has reviewed the detailed budget, and they know what adjustments that they're gonna make in every program to have a workable budget at that $16 million budget.
14.
14.
We lowered it to 14.
14, okay, I'm sorry.
I
So
think, yeah.
all of those details have been worked out. So then the general public is not aware of what areas of the curriculum are going to be adjusted. Is it,
No, I don't know if they've done anything yet to adjust what they're doing, but I know that they know they're gonna have to do something to stay within that budget. But I haven't heard what they're gonna do yet.
I don't think they've shared that with the public
Yeah.
yet.
I think it is on their website.
Is
I
it?
think they have made it public.
Of what they're gonna do.
Well, I'm
Haven't
not
been
sure
on.
the extent of how the allocations are made, but didn't they put that on the school website?
I don't know.
I know, I know
It's supposed to
Mr.
be so transparent.
Yeah, I know Mr. Evans made those changes, and reallocated, redistributed some money to different
Right.
funds. So he is aware of what needs to be done.
okay, so, and I understand that we have no responsibility for those details whatsoever. Our responsibility is that $14 million. That's the extent of our, now, the reason I'm asking these questions is because of the way the excise board will be treated in the local press and in the general public. And they've made some implications that we are not a very favorable group to education. And I was just, at some point in time, there'll be more comments made like that. When the details get out, I believe, then that's what I was wanting to know. So,
Our obligation is more to the taxpayer than it has anything to do with the school.
pardon me,
Our obligation is more to the taxpayers than any part of the school. I mean, not that we're wanting the kids educated, but for the taxpayers to have been pulled into that situation that they weren't responsible for, but I think we did our part representing the taxpayers that we're
yes,
supposed to.
yes, I agree.
Anything else?
Tommy, you got anything else to add?
I do not.
Okay.
Item 6, action item 6A, discussion, consideration, and possible action for approval or disapproval on the appropriations for the month of October 2024.
I make the motion that we approve the October month appropriations.
I'll second that motion,
Miller,
Yes.
Wittrock,
yes.
Birkenball.
Yes.
There's all of them right there.
You do this job long enough, it's a reminder you'll never forget your name.
signing 1,000 traffic tickets, my signature became unrecognizable.
Mine's getting worse every month.
Anthony, how's your signature doing? Only been in for 3 months.
It's horrible.
Mine's the least legible. My dad's, I swear, it was chicken scratch. You couldn't tell anything. I gotta be seeing Lacey at that time. Oh, it's 11:45, but I'm seeing 15 minutes early. In my head.
You know, next year maybe you ought to have some signing music, you know, playing
Dad,
something.
you want me to do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
musical interlude.
White Turner tunes on a.
There's a big speaker sitting here.
We're sporty and like we're signing $1 million contracts.
You did some $1 million ones in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple $1 million ones in here.
This year will probably be one of the most least talked about college football years in Oklahoma's history.
No one wants to bring it up anymore, do they?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was his agenda, so I'm picking it up. I think he was pushing it closer and closer to me to get on to.
All right, item 6B, discussion, consideration, and possible action for approval or disapproval on regularly scheduled meetings for 2025.
And this is,
Yeah.
Yes, they said there'll be one that says 9 AM.
right, so I'll make that motion to approve this schedule of meetings for the Excise and Equalization Board.
Second.
Miller,
Yes.
Birkenbaugh,
Yes.
Wittrock.
Yes,
You decided you don't want mine?
No, that hangs in my bathroom. No, that's mine.
Oh, okay.
I think they all, the tax roll and the other one should have the same dates.
Yeah.
Just different times.
Okay, item 6C, discussion, consideration, and possible action on any Kingfisher Public Schools decision.
And I don't think we have anything, correct?
I have some, I'd like to discuss that a little bit. And this is the time for discussion. No action can be taken, no decisions made. Is that correct?
Well, it says possible action, if there is
Pardon
any.
me?
It does say any possible action,
If there is any.
if there is any, can still be made.
Oh, okay. In other words, something to be on an agenda at a later date. Okay. The first thing I have is I'd like to discuss or have Mr. Humphreys. I'd like to ask him, as far as the excise board and the situation that the issue that we got involved with is a very controversial issue, I believe. And I'd like to know what a board needs to, when and what a board needs to really do before they get you involved. And how early should you get involved? And
Yeah, no, I'm here to answer questions at any point, and so you all can either use Jeannie as the secretary of the board to communicate to me, talk to the chairperson can always call me. You all can discuss a question and actually send me formal questions. There's lots of ways to engage. So you can either discuss and do it informally through the clerk or the chairperson, or you all can have agenda items where you say, this is a question that you want to ask the district attorney. I'm available anytime.
okay, so in other words, this process and this issue that we dealt with, we handled relatively well. As far as your involvement, I mean,
Well, I was late in the game.
Okay.
So no, it'd be better if I was involved earlier.
okay, when we see this, and we will, next year. And this whole thing gets compressed so much because of schedules and delays that you don't have time to really function like you're supposed to. And what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to be, I guess, the guardrails between agencies of government and the taxpayers. And if we were confronted with a situation, I believe, that, or I observed this, is if we would not have dealt with this issue, it would have made the excise board simply a board that met and ate donuts and signed 3 dozen papers at each meeting.
Yeah, I would encourage all of you to carefully look at my brief, what I filed with the Supreme Court. I'm sure you did, but if you're asking me how to prepare for next year, I would say after watching the meetings, and again, this is me quarterbacking after the fact, you all's role is to identify when a budget's been presented to you when there's an excess of needs. We let the judgment drive that conversation as opposed to really focusing on they're asking for more than they need. You actually, I put in my filing that you really, to a certain degree, were the only person that kind of identified that there was an excess. And that's probably what kept the Supreme Court from getting involved. But next year, we need to be focused on you all's role, and that's when a budget's asking for more than you believe that it needs. That's what your role is.
Okay. So then in the role that we, let me think how I'm gonna wanna phrase this. So in our role, one of the things that we possibly need to do is we need to, I would say, very early in the calendar year of '25, I think it would be, the first step for the excise board would be to schedule a meeting with the administration of the school and ask what their plans are for the upcoming fiscal year budget and how they're going to deal with this judgment plus their other needs and what their revenues are going to be next year. And then, you know, just use one revenue source would be gross production taxes, and they're going down. So rather than wait till the last minute to be in meetings with the school, would you recommend that we start earlier and possibly involve our consultant, our accounting firm for the county, a budget maker, and meet with the administration and find out really what their plans are?
Yeah, no, if they're willing to engage, I think you all did that to a certain extent, so, but continuing to do that's sure a good idea.
But we did that, and it did absolutely nothing. They refused any suggestions or comments. And basically, the way I view it is it was nothing but a delay. I mean, that's all that was done. And if we can do, in other words, what we need to do is we need to make attempts, even though we were not given any attention whatsoever or listened to or considered. We need to continue that, because that shows that we are proactive in solving this particular issue and problem. Is that correct?
Sure. I'm only hesitating because it's not really a question, Jim. You're really making statements, and I'm letting you do that.
Okay.
I'm here to answer any questions legally that I can.
Okay.
But tell me,
Yeah,
otherwise,
yeah.
otherwise, a budget is submitted to the excise board September the, whatever, 10th, and they're supposed to approve it by the 15th. I mean, and there's just not time to look at it.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's the process.
Yeah.
Well then, and then I looked at some information on the school district, and we had a situation that started on July 29th of '21, and I looked at the annual reports of the school for the fiscal years 21, 22, 23. And in the fiscal year 21, the audited financial report that was issued by the accounting firm did not mention anything about that lawsuit, and in the area of subsequent events of that audit, that CPA firm has to review subsequent events, and the management of the school has to present to the auditors what they feel are material subsequent events. Their statement in the 2021 report, under that paragraph is, management has evaluated subsequent events through November 29th of '21, which is the date the financial statements were available to be issued, and determined that no additional information need to be added to the financial statements. The lawsuit was filed July 29th. This is as of November 19th. the whole situation was ignored. I don't know who knew anything about it. If you go to the audited financial statements for June 22, the same area, the subsequent event, management has evaluated subsequent events through February 1st of 23, which is the date of financial statements were available to be issued, and have determined that no additional information needs to be added to the financial statements. The lawsuit was filed July 29th of 21. This board was well aware that that lawsuit was filed, and this board discussed, I wonder what's being done. You look at the June 30th of 23 audited financial statements, subsequent events. Management has evaluated subsequent events through January 3rd of 24, which is the date the financial statements were available to be issued. A lawsuit was filed July 29th of 21. The district did not have liability coverage for the lawsuit, as the coverage had lapsed for the period of time in question. The district entered into a compromise agreement, November 22nd of 23. As part of the settlement, the district agreed to a consent judgment in the amount of $3,750,000 to be payable over a 3-year period pursuant to Oklahoma law. The district has also agreed to pay $1.25 million by February 13th of 24. In exchange for those payments, the plaintiff will dismiss all claims against the district. I'm discussing this because, one, the certified public accounting firm that did this audit, and this is my opinion, they committed unethical acts in not requiring that material event to be there, because it was a material event. It could have been quantified very early on. There was a stepped up process that was gone through, and whatever the money was, or early demands, and they go through all of these steps, and they mention it on the June 30th audited financial statements. So I think we as a board received this information very, very late in the process, and it was a hurry up and rush deal to try to figure out how to get it done, to get the tax statements out, and the taxes are going to have to be paid on time, and all this rigmarole that's in the newspaper. But I think we did a pretty good job. And I think what we have is we have a school district that ignored a great number of facts for a long period of time and covered this situation up as to how material it was going to be. And that's my opinion, and I think we need to pay attention and watch for additional information. And as a board member, I need to pay closer attention to what's published in the newspapers and not let it drop. So I think it's a real educational process for all. So thank you for bearing with me.
I couldn't agree more, and it was a huge learning experience, and I thank you guys, you three, for all your input and helping us through that time.
I'd just like to say that newspaper is not always correct in their information. And twice now I have sent them to make corrections based on the information that they publish to the public. The information they had was incorrect. The headline of last Wednesday's paper said the assessor said that the tax bills are being withheld. I never said that. I never would say that, because I know that's not true. The tax bills were not being withheld. They will if someone protests, but I did ask for a correction in the newspaper, but they have not corrected that statement. But previously, based on the Supreme Court filing, they also published some misinformation, and I did ask them to make those corrections as well. So you can't always believe what you read in the paper. That's why I've started attending the school board meetings And I do plan to speak at the next school board meeting to just educate the school board members as the process and what my job is. They felt like they had to pay an assessor fee. It's not an assessor fee. They pay for our appraisal process to help them get their tax dollars. And I just want them to know the amount of dollars that what we do collects for them, and they're just paying a portion of that. It's not a fee that they're paying our office, that we basically work for them, but I don't think anybody realizes that. So I do plan to speak on that.
Good.
That's a step in the right direction.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I just think the more we communicate and educate the public and the school board, because they don't know, and that's why I spoke up at the last school board meeting, because I don't think the school board realized that if they protest, it holds the funds that the school would get in January. If anybody protests before Friday, then the school's not gonna get their money until we resolve that protest, which could take a couple of months to do that. So I just wanted them to be aware that if they protest, the school's not gonna get their money in January like normal, and that's what they use to pay their teacher salaries. So I just thought it was important that they knew what would happen based on their decisions, because this had never happened before. So I'm just trying to educate everybody.
The county's learned a great deal.
Yes.
Not only the school district, the county's learned a great deal.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot more interesting things to read than audited financial statements and scrounging around in those things. But, you know, those board members, I would imagine they probably got a bound copy of the audited financial statements. I don't know. And there's a lot of information there.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with Mr. Birkenbau's comment. There's a lot of good professional people in this room, and we're all, we all have the same goal, and that's fair representation of all taxpayers and fair treatment. And I appreciate the brief that you prepared. I was quite impressed, sir.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Okay. Item 7, new business.
I don't have anything.
All right, item 8, adjournment.
I make that motion. Each to it, Jim.
I'll second.
Miller,
Yes.
Birkenbaum,
Yes.
Wittrock.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Fell asleep over here. I'm sorry, I can't hear very well.
That's all right.